Alright everybody, it is actually here this time. It's not a big meme or anything. Shiro Muramasa has now released for New Year's FGO, right? And you guys thought I was capping, right? Like you guys were like, oh, I don't know, ZTL might just be pulling our legs. But I was like, no, something hype is going to be coming for New Year's. And they dropped the dude, the guy, Shiro Muramasa, and he is phenomenally good. He is an exceptional unit. You know, your boy just woke up right when that live stream was starting. I pulled this man NP2. You know, I went for that second copy because I just thought he was that good, like the way that he's built, that I was like, I'm gonna want NP2 because I'm gonna be using this guy a lot. He is an art servant, obviously, so his hits aren't like super duper important or anything because, you know, anybody with the pulse is going to be able to loop with Castoria, but this dude is insane. So his first skill is like the traditional like Shiro projection Emiya type beat. You know, it gives him the quick arts and buster up, but then it also gives him star gather up and it gives him a burst of stars. Now, at this current time, we literally just got this guy like in the game, so I can't give you like exact percentages and everything, or like, oh, how is this like how many stars are we going to be getting, but it's a decent chunk of stars, you know. And just on its own, right, if this is anything like the other Shiro Emiya projection skills, right, where it was like 50% each for one turn, that's really good, right? That's very phenomenal. Like, this skill is just packed to bursting with effects, right? The only unfortunate thing is, like, as an art servant, you want him to be able to like use this for multiple turns because you're like, oh no, his arts buff, he can't like get that for multiple turns. So we'll get to that when we get to his NP. His second skill gives him invincibility pierce. He gets crit damage against enemies with evade or invincibility, which I'm assuming that's probably going to be like 50%, right? Because then he also has just flat crit damage and star gen up for 3 turns as well. So he's going to be able to actually gen a good decent amount of stars, right? I'm assuming this is at least 50%, possibly like 100%, right? Because he's an art servant, and art servants, their cards innately don't actually gen any stars. But that's why someone like Caskill is so good, because Caskill is like, I give everybody so much crit star generation that they can turn their arts cards into quick cards, basically. So depending on how good this star gen up is going to be, he actually might be able to gen a decent amount of stars with his NP as well. Like, this actually might be very good for him. And I'm assuming this crit damage is, again, like 50%. So like, you get 50% for just the flat crit damage for 3 turns, and then you get 50% from the damage buff against people with like evade or invincibility. I think that's hilarious, right? That he's just like, not only am I going to like pierce your evade or invincibility, but I'm going to punish you for doing that, right? I think that's hilarious. But then there's his third skill, again, which is insane. This is looking like a 50% battery, because again, my Emiya right now is, you know, skill 1, and it's a 30% battery for him right now. So I'm assuming at skill 10 this is a 50% battery. Again, very good on an art servant who's already like looping his NP like crazy. This is going to help him out severely in events where the drop bonus like CE doesn't actually have like starting charge or something. He's gonna be able to get himself to 50% for free. But then on top of that, he gives himself the unique flame buff, which we were all like, oh dude, this is gonna suck, like burn damage, who cares? But actually what it does is he charges his NP whenever he attacks with his like face cards. That's insane. That's really good. That's like, you attack, you get more NP back. And again, mine's only, you know, skill level 1, but it's like, okay, so we could be seeing like anywhere from like 5 to 15% NP per attack for free. You're just doing what you normally do, and you're getting even more NP back. Like, he is an absolute NP machine. In fact, like, let's say you attack a wave and he doesn't quite do enough damage to kill the wave, and you're like, oh man, it's gonna hurt his NP generation. But then he attacks with his cards. He attacks with a buster card, he gets like 15% NP. Quick card, 15% NP. Attacks with an arts card and gets like 25% plus, maybe higher, because, you know, obviously it's an arts card, it's gonna gen NP on its own. It's just, it's really good, right? Like, I know I'm like freaking out, but this guy is insane, right? Because then there's also his NP, which his NP gives him a 3-turn arts and NP damage buff. So even if that arts buff is only like, I don't know, like a 10% buff, you can stack it, because like I was using him for farming, right, to kind of like test out his looping potential. I think he's phenomenal, by the way. He like looped 91% of his NP before I pulled my second copy, and I didn't even put all the buffs onto him. He had like the NP gain buffs and the Castoria's like arts buffs. Keep in mind, my Castoria is like what, 10-5-1? Or no, 10 he's 10-5-4, something like that, you know, not maxed out. And he was able to loop 91% of his NP at NP1. And considering that he can stack like this arts thing as well as the NP damage, like he's applying so many buffs to himself, and NP, he just pisses out NP. It's not even an issue. Like, I wouldn't even consider him getting his NP any issue whatsoever. Like, you don't even struggle for it. It's insane. And the fact that he's an art servant, right, he's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, this is kind of what, like, Quick kind of needed, right? Like, maybe this is what, like, Voyager was supposed to be, because Voyager's kind of like Edmond Dantes, but with the 50% battery, but he doesn't hit as hard, so it's kind of like, you know, 50-50, like, balance type thing, you know what I'm saying? But this is broken. This is absolutely insane. And I know I was saying something big was going to be coming for New Year's, but I didn't expect it to be like this big. And funnily enough, before the live stream started, like about 12 hours beforehand, I was like, surely this is when they drop Shiro Muramasa or Rasputin, you know, the Kirei Kotomine looking guy, right? Because I was like, we're getting into Lost Belt 6. We know both of these guys play an important role in Lost Belt 6, especially Shiro, because he was sent to those, or I don't want to say Shiro, but, you know, Muramasa. He was sent there, and I was like, surely it's one of them. You know, it's the pandemic year. Like, this is when they're pulling out all the stops. Surely they go into 2021 and they drop Shiro Muramasa. And I was like, bro, I predicted Castoria at anniversary, right? I got this Shiro Muramasa right at New Year's, so, you know, I'm feeling pretty good about my prediction game, you know what I'm saying? And before anybody comments and says, well, if you say that, like, Shiro Muramasa's coming every single time, eventually you'll get it right, I never really thought he was coming. Like, I always thought it was, like, 4-year anniversary. I was like, nah, like, I was like, surely we get, like, Lolly Da Vinci or something, like, because they give us, like, Chaldea, quote-unquote, servants for anniversary. Usually, like, it was Da Vinci, Sherlock, and, you know, actually, Scotty kind of threw a loop into that, but then they went back to Da Vinci, right? So it's like, that's kind of their meme. But, look, all I want to say is that if you are a JP player, you throw everything you have to get this guy. This is a must-get servant. I would even say that, like, there's, like, 3 tiers of people, right? There's people that don't have Castoria, there's people that have Castoria, and then there's Castoria people that will not have Shiro Muramasa. I think it's that big of a deal, because he's just, like, that good. His damage is good. He pisses out NP just casually, and his, like, NP gain is redonkulous. Like, again, like, without even, like, a fully built-up Castoria, because mine kind of sucks dick right now, he was at 91% NP after a loop. Like, NP1. That's before I got my second copy. Again, just want to reiterate that. This guy is absolutely butt-fucking insane. He is redonkulous, right? You summon for this guy. As a NA player, you should be looking at this and being like, I'm gonna summon for Castoria, get her, and then I'm getting Shiro Muramasa. Like, I know Ibuki Doji is hot. I know that, like, a lot of people like Vitra. Skips. You skip them. You don't summon on those banners. You summon for Castoria on anniversary, and you save every little quartz you have. You know, I would even venture to say maybe even go for NP2 Shiro Muramasa, which I don't really advise all that much, but this guy is, like, just that insane. He is redonkulously good. They definitely stepped up their game from past New Year's servants, because, like, Benny Enma was pretty good, and, like, NA people, I'll make a video on Benny Enma talking about her. She's kind of like the single target version of Shiro Muramasa in a way, because she's, like, a really good looping single target art saber. But and then we got Yang, who I felt was kind of mid, because her whole thing was like, yay, burn debuffs are good. Now it's like, no, who cares? But then now it's Shiro Muramasa time. Like, this is just, dude, I can't. Like, you summon, you summon for this guy, and that's all you do, bro. That's all I gotta say. Like, you summon, okay? And so all I want to see in the comments is not, like, this is not a, what do you guys think, are you going to summon for this guy? It's, how many multis have you done to get Shiro Muramasa? I did 7 multis. I got NP2 Shiro Muramasa and NP2 Bradamante. Ironically enough, pulled 2 Bradamante summoning for Shiro Muramasa, which was very weird. But, I mean, I'm not going to complain because Bradamante's hot. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. I'm going to go, like, sit in a chair and relax and just calm down for a second. But, yeah, thanks for coming by, bros. Like, I'm out of here. Peace late.